Hi, everyone. This is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. We've hit 28,000 subscribers. I'm very happy. We've had posts that had over 1 million views. I've got close to 4.7 million views overall with all the things. So I'm very happy today, as should be Usman Khawaja, having scored 127 not out. And realistically, the scoreline of Australia sounds very, very good at 3 for 250 odd. But I'll just dissect that in a minute. I'm joined by Mohsen Sheikh, who is at an under-19s match between Valleys, which is a Queensland Valleys team, versus Brisbane Valleys team, that is, versus Turnbull. How are you?
Hi, Norman. Hi to your audience. Thank you very much. I'm excited to joining again with you to talk about the day one Test cricket. But I'm here at the under-19s grand final where Valleys are playing Toombul, and it's good to see a lot of young cricketers fighting it out the premiership.
Some future Australian players, or definitely Queensland, but also Australian players, I would imagine.
Yeah, Toby Snell, who's the Australian wicketkeeper, he's on display, and then a couple of fast bowlers who represented Australia in the under-19s. So they're out here showcasing their skills as well.
Tom Snell, is that the name of the keeper?
Tobias Snell, yep.
Okay, well,
he was the Australian wicketkeeper, yep.
So we've got a lot of questions already. Himanshu Rohela said hi. Vijay Murgod said congrats. Paul Newman's on there saying that the Australian girls have had a big win against the Kiwis. Well, it hasn't quite finished yet, but it will very soon. And also, I hope we don't get a draw. So do I. I think that Cam Green, one of the comments about Cam Green is very important. Let's go back to yesterday's test. Now, Australia were 3 for 251, if I'm correct, after the 90 overs.
Yep.
Clearly, they batted well. But again, only one person's got a century, and that is Usman Khawaja. I think I talked about that yesterday in the pre-show. You may not have heard me discuss it, but I predicted that Khawaja would be significant again, and he has been. Look, the guy's got his 35th, I think it is, on the list of Australian batsmen, as an all-run scored. Both Warner's on 9th and Steve Smith 7th. But the significance of Khawaja is very much so. It's his 11th Test century. Now,
correct.
I actually think, this is my overnight thought, is that if Khawaja keeps his nose clean and bats the way he's batting, we're looking at a future Australian captain. I'm very serious. I think there's a lot of justification, especially if Pat Cummins doesn't want to continue, or there's some move afoot to have him not captain because of losses or whatever the case may be. You've got a ready-made captain sitting right in front of us there. He's now virtually cemented his team spot, hasn't he? Now Khawaja's indefinitely in the side and should have been all the way along. Imagine if he'd been playing the last 2 or 3 years. He'd be 5,000, 6,000 Test runs. He'd be up with. I reckon he'd be up with Smith and Warner for sure. And it's a travesty that he hasn't been. I look back over the years, and I, for God's sake, can't imagine why he wasn't in the side. Forgetting that now he's back in there and he's showing us why he's back in the side. He is a pivotal player in this team now. And in the rest of the subcontinent tour, with Sri Lanka, India, and wherever else we're going, he's going to be the number one batsman. Not just a batsman, but the number one batsman they're going to rely on as their backbone. Even though Steve Smith gets 70-odd and Warner got 30-odd, again, Khawaja is showing absolute class. He's the only Australian to score a century at this point. And you take him out of the score, out of the team sheet, half the runs are gone. And quite frankly, there would be into Travis Head, Cameron Green and the like. We would be looking at staring in the barrel of a rather low score. And I'm quite certain of that. And I'm really seeing the significance of Khawaja coming to the fore now. So that's my summation of yesterday. What's your thoughts?
No, I look. I quite agree to your comments about Uzi being captain. He's captained Queensland cricket for a long time successfully. He's been captain at Thunder, very successful leader as well. He's got really good head on his shoulder, very cricket smart, and his decision making has been backed here in Queensland at Thunder. The only thing that I would go against probably. Well, not so much against him, but he's mid-30s, and whether they will go with an older, wiser man being a leader. But I quite like his leadership skills. He's an attacking captain. He's not a defensive captain, and that's what Queensland cricket needed when he came to Queensland. And since he's been leader at Queensland, they won Shield, they won One Day Comp, and Thunder. He's been fantastic in a leadership role. We won a premiership there as well. So in saying that, I 100% agree with what you're saying. But whether Cricket Australia will go that path or not, it's to be seen. But
they're gonna come up. I mean, Pat Cummins,
remarkable leader.
They're going to have to look.
They're going to have to, yeah.
Well, if I go back to, and I'm not sure whether you heard my discussions way back to the Ashes series, before they announced whether Head or Khawaja got that spot, I was touting Khawaja as being captain back then. Before they announced Pat Cummins, before even Tim Payne really was on the outer, I believed that Khawaja was a future captain. Not unlike Curtis Patterson's, another one they could consider as well, or Jason Sanger. They are my three choices to be future Australian captains in the transitions from the like of Tim Payne. And it was obvious Tim Payne was on the way out, even though all that debacle happened. The Ashes was probably his last series anyway. The reality is it came on quicker than we'd expected. They put Pat Cummins in the slot. Really now, and again, I'm absolutely gobsmacked why Khawaja wasn't selected from the beginning of the series. And Justin Langer has a lot of questions to ask there. It wasn't line ball between the two. Travis Head wasn't clearly in front of Khawaja at all, and has proven the complete opposite. And Khawaja's got his half chance, because if Travis Head didn't get COVID, Khawaja wouldn't be here now probably. It would have stuck with Marcus Harris for his 95th test, not getting a century. And I'll tell you now, I don't want to see Marcus Harris anywhere near this test side, I'm afraid. It's Warner, as long as he keeps his nose clean, and Khawaja will open indefinitely, in my opinion. And we'll go, and Marcus Harris will not become the next
Khawaja an extended run. Yeah, especially after being successful in subcontinent, I would definitely give him an extended run to finish the career in the next couple of years. He will score 5,000 plus test runs. He's got 1100s already. If you look at his record, it's phenomenal. He's had 2 bad years, but to have him in the team as a leader of the group as well. If you hear his speech presenting cap to Mitch Schwepschen, it was phenomenal speech. It was really good speech to recognize how he's been leading Schwepper for the last 5 years, and it was very mature words coming out of Uzi when he presented the cap to Mitch. And I think to have him as a part of leadership group, I think it is fantastic going forward for Australia.
And I'm not just saying this about Khawaja because he happens to have just scored a century. I've been saying this for well over 12 months. And clearly he's showing what he's capable of. This is virtually his 4th century. The 97, let's call it a century. This is virtually 4 centuries within 4 tests. The man, and I can see him dominating into the next test, and certainly he'll have a field day in Sri Lanka and will enjoy India as well. There's no stopping him. As long as he keeps his fitness up, his whole mental attitude, his physical state and being, okay, Usman Khawaja's not a great fielder. Let's be honest. He's not a great fielder. He wouldn't be that many of his attributes. But that's not the point. I believe that we've got ourselves, I'm not trying to push Pat Cummins to the side, but I think we've got a future captain here. I think so. I don't think Steve Smith should be next captain. And that's not because Steve Smith's not.
Good call.
We need to move on from Smith and Warner and the general description there. We've done that with Pat Cummins. Steve Smith is deputised. Khawaja's now forging his way ahead, not just as a batsman, but a significant person in this team. He frankly is the backbone of this innings. The 250, he scored 127. That's more than half. Against and he's looked brilliant. And quite frankly, we may see him get an even bigger score today. He may well go on to score 200.
Yep.
But my only issue is, will he have batters around him? Because, I mean, Nathan Lyon's in and out. He's a night watchman. Travis said, I've got no confidence at the moment in the subcontinent. No. Cameron Green, certainly I have. Alex Carey, I certainly have. And the rest of the bowlers, I haven't got a great deal of confidence. So it's extremely important that Khawaja continues to bat. It's not just a matter that he scored 127 and that's enough. He needs to, if he wants to, Australia want to win this match, they're going to have to get Khawaja in there scoring more than 200. We haven't seen Pakistan bat yet, but my heavens, their top three are going to eat us for breakfast. They're going to take Swepson apart. And I'm not knocking Swepson, but the class of the top three batters, if not top four batters, let's go 5 into 6. I'm very curious to see for him. He bowled particularly well yesterday, didn't he?
He did bowl well, yes. I didn't think that Hassan Ali was 100%. They threw him in the team. I don't think he's still 100%, but Fahim looked really good. He looked more effective than Hassan all day. He hit the areas right. I know his pace is not up still, but he's that kind of bowler who's going to hold that role of bowling in the middle and just holding that one end. And he did that really well, getting that wicket as well earlier on for Warner. He hit the seam quite a lot. Hassan still not 100%, and that's probably why my concern is they could have gone with extra pace of Haris Rauf instead of Hassan Ali. But now he's in. I think more and more so my thinking in Lahore is to get Haris Rauf in with pace, and he can partnership with Shaheen really well. But the thing that I was quite disappointed about yesterday was the third session just after tea, where spinners were not effective at all, and the approach to the game they took, I was quite disappointed in that. I know it did play in the hands of Pakistan with bringing the net run rate down for Australia, not allowing them to score freely for about 12, 13 overs till they waited for the new ball. But my argument is, just before tea, if you were watching the game, the ball started to reverse a little. So after tea, instead of continuing on that path, because Hassan Ali was not fit, it was probably a forced decision to go with spin and to bowl that negative line outside leg stump to try and keep the score down and not have that attack for those 12 overs. And then
I think that was a mistake.
Post the new ball.
I think that was a mistake.
Agreed.
I understand why they did it.
Yeah, I understand why they did it, but and more so it was like a forced sort of a tactic because Hassan wasn't fit. So when they took the new ball, even with the new ball, they had to go with Fahim with Shaheen rather than Hassan. So I think they missed the trick a little bit. If they would have gone with the reversing ball, Hassan and Shaheen both fit, they would have got a couple more wickets towards the end of the day. But now the horse is bolted. Now they have to start well today. They have to really make sure that they get wickets earlier on. The good thing was they finished with Smith's wicket at the end of the day. Now they're Heads and Green and Carey. If they get through this middle order, all of a sudden you got 350 all out.
I mean, look, they've got a big door open because Nathan Lyon's in there at the moment. He could go very quickly. I've got no confidence in Head or Carey. I have with Cameron Green, but he has to have the right partner. If Khawaja goes early, and look, we can't begrudge him, he's already scored 127. There's an element of a weakness to this. It's bizarre to be talking about 3 for 250. You think it'd be a position of command. Well, it should be, but I'm not that certain. I really am not certain. It's intriguing because if Australia get around the 350 mark due to these batsmen not kicking on, then Pakistan will be in a mode of ascendancy because they can score 450, 500 and relatively quickly. And if they get a lead of 150 or thereabouts, Australia on a pitch that will start to take more spin and the natural scoreboard pressure, they will not lose. They will not gain control. But they're going to have to see Khawaja score another century in this innings. I mean, in the first innings. It's like he's going into bat today, that is, on 0. because they're going to need him to score a lot of runs, because they cannot. If he falls early with line and head goes, we've got a position where they could fall very, very quickly. I've got not a great deal of faith in the stability of their batting lineup, honestly, past this point. Cameron Green will support someone very well. I don't think he's quite ready to actually lead the way with his batting. But yeah, look, it's an intriguing position. But again, had Ashton Agar been chosen, I'm not going to knock Swepson. We'll see how he goes. Let's hope he bowls well. But I think the significance of having Agar on the side, because of his batting as well as his bowling, and his suitability to the conditions, what makes me really wonder. I'm really questioning Head's. You watch, if Head doesn't do well, he has to be under consideration, because there's something regarding balance that's not right on the side, even though they've batted well so far. Again, 3 for 250, we should be looking at 500. But it's going to come down to someone like Khawaja getting those runs.
Yeah, I mean, if Uzi goes on today and scores a 200 plus, I think Australia is in really good stead with 450 plus runs. They'll control Test match from there on. But if Uzi gets out early today, and then the middle order doesn't support you, because the score hasn't moved as much, all of a sudden we could be 350 all out. So it's really crucial how they bowl well. I like to see Hassan Ali being fit and getting in the attack earlier on, hitting those areas, bowling well, and trying to control the game with the ball rather than letting Australia dictate in first session.
I'd go far as to say that this particular day is a day of reckoning for both Australia and for Pakistan in this series. Because if Pakistan can fight, let's say, back and get a number of wickets this morning, which they are capable, Shaheen's capable of it, Hassan on his day, the spinners, they can do it. And I was particularly, for him, it impressed me quite a bit. The delivery they got Warner was a pearl. That was a fantastic delivery. He was quite an impressive gentleman, actually. But I truly believe Pakistan need to come out and attack, and really attacking fields, attacking bowling mindset. Not necessarily concentrating on Khawaja, but attacking the other batsmen at the other end. Because if they can get line early and get Head in there and get him early, then you've got a momentum that's going to swing very clearly in favour of Pakistan.
True.
But that comes back to how well Khawaja does today. Khawaja is proving to be the key. What a turnaround. The man wasn't even in the side 2 or 3 tests ago. He was not even in the side. Now he's the pivotal batsman in the entire team.
Agree, 100%.
I know I've been very nasty about Labuschagne, but he got out for a duck. And I'm not disturbed about being run out. That can happen to anyone. But what I am disturbed about is the way he sat in the dressing room and looked like he'd been shot. He was mortified. Now, I'm sorry. That's
the personality of him.
Well, that's bizarre.
That's his personality. Yeah, I know. That's his personality. If he doesn't get in and score runs, he really is upset. And it showed a lot of social media pictures and whatnot you've seen where Marnus was just very.
Well, that's an element of selfishness, honestly, because it's not about him; it's about the team. And he got a duck, fine, but then be supportive. Don't sit there like he's just died. What I'm getting at is, how is Marnus Labuschagne going to handle 4 or 5 ducks, which could happen to him very easily now?
How he handles.
How is he going to handle that? Is he going to be like this for every single duck he gets? He'll be unstoppable. He'll be uncontrollable. I find this, and I don't want to say I knew it was going to happen, but that reaction is the worst reaction I've ever seen from a man that's had an absolute dream start to his Test career. Has now been ranked supposedly the best batsman in the world, a batting average of close to 60, and he mopes over a duck like this. I'm finding that a little bit of a weird situation, to be honestly. He has had an absolutely blessed run, and he was due to get a bad score or two, and in succession. And I predicted that the biggest test for Labuschagne will be when he gets a series of low scores, how he comes back from that. As did Ponting, even Greg Chappell, Clark.
Everyone. War Brothers. Everyone.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Right. And
even
that would be his
Smith
biggest
for a
test.
period. we have to, because Smith initially was bowling anyway.
Yeah.
There's something about the character of a player, and if I saw Labuschagne, first of all, publicly being photographed doing something rather, go and mope in the corner, go and do it behind closed doors, go and smash a door, but don't let us see it.
Mm.
He's sitting at the window like his parents just died. I mean, I shouldn't laugh, but it's
very sorrowful.
It's quite comical. It's very comical.
No.
It's very, very comical. And if he's the best batsman in the world, and that reaction doesn't give me much faith, let's see him get. And I predicted this when he got a series of failures, that his true ability will come to the fore. If he can survive this and come back, then I'll respect him. He's had a very good run. Yep. And he's been blessed, absolutely and utterly blessed. He thinks it's almost easy. He thinks he should get it every time. The fact that he expected to get runs and got a duck and then moped is a horrible sign. It is attitudinally bad. I'd be pulling him up. If I was the coach, if I was Andrew McDonald's or someone like that, not Justin Langer necessarily, but I would say, look, what you did was pretty stupid. Yeah. Go and mope in the corner. Don't show the public you've just got a duck.
No. And do it, get it out of your system, and then come and join the team and support them.
It was. I'm sorry. It was all about him.
Yeah. Oh
my God, my world's just ended. No, the team's doing quite well, thank you. You actually performed a run out. That was brothers. He needs to remember that he's a part of a team. Him failing doesn't mean the whole team's going to fall apart, nor should he fall apart.
No, and plus it was his own fault, no one else's fault. It was his own fault that he
made a public display of this. It's a photograph of the day. I mean, someone needs to pull his head in and say, right, you got out for a duck. So what? You got run out. It wasn't your batting flaw. So go and mope quietly, would you? No, seriously.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean?
Norman, I've got to go back to the game.
Okay. All right. Do that.
Yeah, I've got to go back to the game. I'll probably catch up with you tonight, and let's look at how the day 2 has panned out. And apologies for cutting it short, but thanks to you and your audience. But I'll look forward to catching up with you tonight and looking at how day 2 has panned out.
No problems at all. See you soon.
See you, man. Thank you again. Cheers, Tuck.
Thank you.
Okay, then. Bye.
So Mohsin Khan's been pulled out of an under-19 match between Brisbane Valleys and Turnbull. Now, these two teams, Turnbull's T-O-O-M-B-U-L, those teams have produced amazing players over the years and have a crop of young players that are even in the under-19 Australian side. A real nursery for cricket as well as other cities like Sydney. So, I want your opinion, guys. Am I being too hard? Am I being too dissecting? People often say I criticise Australia a lot, but I do it for a good reason, because they do have the mantle of the best players in the world. Other than India and perhaps England at times and Pakistan, Australia's always given the mantle of the best cricket team, not just simply because of skill and talent and we all look up to them, but it's their attitude. It's this I've noticed over the last few years that Australia's had a sense of entitlement, going back to the sandpaper gate, going back to the incidents that happened in the IPL with Dave Warner, with Sunrisers Hyderabad, the way Marnus Labuschagne is moping like he's lost his toys over a duck that wasn't really any more than a run out. And if he's been in good form, he should be happy and be grateful that he's been able to get away with a great long-term performance. I think there's something we all look up to. Every country looks towards these players to show a leading light, whether it's the women's Test cricket side, like the women's side are the model of cricket around the world. The women's side won the World Cup in 19 at the actually 2020 in March at the MCG, and they're playing very well at the moment. I think they're giving New Zealand a bit of a shellacking, but their attitude has always been pretty good, like a team unit. They bond and they think for the team now. I just don't think that was very commendable what he did. I think it was quite stupid. And if I was coach, I'd pull him aside. If don't mope in the bloody window of the damn dressing room so everybody can see you, go and do it in the corner. But you're moping over a duck that you only got run out. You better get used to it, because it's going to happen more often. And imagine if it happens. Imagine if he gets 6 or 7 ducks in a row, which could happen. He won't get dropped. But I'll tell you what, his attitude better be better than what it is. What we're saying now. So I'll have a look. No, he needs to get good kick up the backside. I think so. Just, oh my God, I've been out in public view, photographed and ridiculed, has cast a bit of a cloud, I think. I mean, maybe other people don't agree with me, but I think it has completely. Khawaja, the man's had all sorts of adverse situations in his career. Every single time he's as cool as a cucumber, takes him his stride. Even now, with him scoring a massive 127 not out in his home country, he's as cool as a cucumber. So I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm here to enjoy it. His attitude's amazing. He keeps this attitude up and this batting freeness, so that's a word, or the way that he's batting naturally so well. He'll absolutely conquer the subcontinent throughout the continent throughout this 2022 season, with both Sri Lanka and India coming up further in the track in the World Cups and what have you. If he gets a chance to play in that, he could well be our next captain. And that's my opinion. Vikesh Bishnoi, hello, how are you? Kamal Hassan says, Imran Khan. What about Imran Khan? He's another cool character. Brilliant. This Mars Labuschagne has been annoying quite a few people with his antics and talking and swinging his bat around like there's no tomorrow, not just letting the ball go like normal people do. And even Steve Smith does it to an extent as well. The attitude of even Warner to an extent, Smith and Labuschagne, they're our top three batters except for Khawaja. I don't like it. I think we need to be wary of it. I think that we've had a very good run during the Ashes. We looked super good. Yes, Travis had got centuries and that. He got two very commendable centuries. One that he came back with vengeance when he was dropped. Don't forget, he was dropped with Wade last season. I don't necessarily think that a couple of centuries makes 10 years of career. We've got to. Khawaja's attitude is he's got 2 centuries in both innings in the SCG test. Didn't do well in Hobart, but then he immediately came back and scored 97 in the previous test at Rawalpindi, and now he's got 127 not out. Phenomenal form for a man that wasn't even in the side and only got selected because of a COVID situation. How would you rate Chinnaswamy pitch? Now, that's a good question. We are not just talking about Australia versus Pakistan. We're also going to talk about the India versus Sri Lanka match. Now, the pitch itself is fine. It's just that it was a day-night match, and it certainly proved a winner for the game. A fantastic 16 wickets falling in the match. India only getting 250 odd, and of course, a lot of the batsmen didn't really go on with it, except for against Shreyas Iyer. Shreyas Iyer is a bit like the Indian version of Khawaja. Shreyas Iyer has been as consistent as anything. Shreyas Iyer is cementing his position in the Indian side well and truly. And I would predict one day he will be batting number 4 in place of Virat Kohli. Not necessarily replacing Virat Kohli, but batting in a position where it could easily bat there. You could even have a person like Kohli go 3 if necessary, because Shreyas Iyer is batting fantastically. But he got 92 out of that 250. So he took on the major role there, and it was an excellent role. But then after 250 odd from India, they came out and bowled fantastically. Bumrah and Shami were excellent. And now that Sri Lanka are a mess at 6 for virtually nothing, they'll barely make 100. I mean, Roshan Dickwell is still there. I've got confidence he'll go well, but he has got any partner. So, yeah, the pitch, again, please don't bring up the pitch. The pitch at Chinnaswamy is fine. And don't forget, we're dealing with a pink ball under those twilight zone times, which is when exactly Shami and Bumrah took hold and they got wickets very, very quickly and exposed Sri Lanka's batting lineup very, very easily. And they're in deep trouble at 6 for, what is their score? There's 6 for virtually nothing, I'll call it. 400 should be a good total for Australia to force a follow-on. To force a follow-on, they're only going to force a follow-on if Pakistan they get the runs. And I don't see Pakistan failing on this pitch, even though it is different to Rawalpindi. It's still a pitch that these guys are really aware of. I think Azhar Ali loves this pitch. And I think, again, Pakistan have not lost on this match against Australia for as long as they can remember. So realistically, this is a bit of a fortress of Pakistan, and we mustn't forget that. Shreyas informed his life, both in T20s and now Test cricket. Really, backbone of India's innings. The 250 only got 92, rather down the order. So it was pretty impressive indeed. Then the draw between England and the West Indies ended up being a draw. Now Crawley and Joe Root, who's touching close to 10,000 runs, both got centuries against a West Indies side that you can't rate very highly, but have done particularly well. So the draw is probably a fair result there. Yeah, which is now finished. Of course, this match between India and Sri Lanka will be finished today. If Sri Lanka gets all out for 100, and then, I don't know what they're going to do, whether they can force the follow or not. They probably can. If they do, Sri Lanka will be all out before the end of the day's play. They'll be finished in 2 days if India decides to go that way. What type of pitch would you like to choose? Karachi, Pindi, or Bangalore? Rawalpindi was probably a bit too heavy batting wise. Karachi looks fine. There's wickets to be taken there. Good bowling will get wickets. And Bangalore are probably more bowler friendly. So, in all fairness, I think let's not be concerned about. I'm going to repeat this about pitches. Pitches are only bad if one side somehow gets an advantage over another. But if the fact that both teams have to bat on the same surface, whether it's batting friendly, bowling friendly, or whatever, it suits both teams. Sorry, not suits, but it will be exposed to both teams. So there's no advantage unless the way the weather goes, it changes the pitch. But that comes down to the toss and timing. But the pitch is equally as opportune or as negative to both sides on the same pitch. So that's all we can say. The same goes with this test match. With Australia getting 3 for 250, they're in a commanding position because of Khawaja. If they get 450, then they're in a good position. But if they get 350 based on wickets falling very quickly, well, you would argue that Pakistan could very quickly get an advantage and get past the 350 score sometime late tomorrow, which would put the game after 3 days very much an even kill. You would hope then that if one side would get an advantage out of that, would be Pakistan, and we had a lead, that would throw a lot of pressure back on the Australian batsmen. But Khawaja is going to be the key and I did well supported by Smith, mind you, but those two are the key for Australia. I see a weakness in the Australian batting lineup on these surfaces. I really do. Neumann, again, he got 6 wickets in the first match, hasn't bowled that well yesterday, but tidily. Looked good. I like the bloke, I've got his name, not Nazim, the other, the fellow that's come in for Nazim, he looked particularly good. Fazim, yes. Head and Carey score runs, say well. Head, I'm confident will be able to get some runs. Carey and Head, I'm not confident at all. And my fear is that if Carey and Head fall, they're both and then the Australian total is not that good and Pakistan go back and win or whatever the case may be. Head's position and Carey's position will come into some question, in particular Carey. And Head may survive because he's got a couple of centuries against England in Australia. I agree. Pindi pitch was batting friendly and Chinnaswamy is bowling friendly, but me thinks that we'll get a result. We'll probably get Chinnaswamy will get a result probably today. This pitch is deserving of a result. Let's just see how the ball breaks up, how the pitch breaks up the last few days in this test match. And if Australia make 450 plus, well, the pressure's on Pakistan. If they can get them out for 350, the pressure's on Australia. If Pakistan bat well on the rest of today, or some part of today and into tomorrow, and get a lead out of the 350 and get some sort of lead, even 100 lead, that puts a lot of pressure on Australia. Because they have to bat next and bat on a spinning wicket and be behind on the scoreboard. That could be against them. But realistically, Australia won the toss, batted first. They had the advantage immediately, as did Pakistan in the first test match. So realistically, the advantage is with Australia on the first day. They had the toss won. They batted quite well. Total-wise, they're doing okay. If they continue in that mode, they should be able to control the match. But I'm not certain if a few wickets fall, what's going to happen. We'll wait and see. England were so bad they made Australia look like world beaters. That's exactly right. The Ashes series was dominated by Australia easily because they had very little resistance from the English players. Only a bit towards the end, Bairstow scored a century. There really wasn't much else going on. Cummins looked like an unbeatable captain, but he's already been found out in the first test match. And this whole cockamamie discussion about controlling the tone of the match or whatever in the first test match is rubbish. Pakistan dominated that test match. Admittedly, it was a draw, but they were none for 250 on the last day's play. They were 4 for 476. Where is it that Australia dominated either of those two test innings? and they got 450. Yes, that was a reasonable comeback without a century, but they were all out. Terence Aldrin, poor pitch and negative captaincy has given Australia the edge. Poor pitch, well, the pitch, I don't think it's a matter of being poor. Okay, let's just say it's the pitch. Negative captaincy, well, when they started bowling leg side, yes, Pakistan lost the plot a little bit there, but they had the opportunity this morning to get back. At the moment, Australia's on top. Yes, you have to think so. As long as their batters capitalise on this lead and go into a 455-minute mode. If they don't, well, that's the choice. So this is a day of reckoning for both Australia and for Pakistan. Australia giving Pakistan a taste of their own medicine. To an extent, yes. The only word of warning is that they'll have to go on with it, because if they lose, the fact that they had a night watchman in Nathan Lyon was a bit disturbing. Really, Travis should have chomped at the bit wanting to go out for those few overs, because he would like to be batting first tomorrow morning. Anyway, by the way, here, so West Indies played around 35 overs after a collapse between 56. They did. They got out of a bit of a hole there, did the West Indies. Moment of truth to Australia today. It certainly is both sides, really, because if Pakistan can take wickets, which they're capable of doing, not concentrate on Khawaja, but concentrate on getting Lyon out and then hitting head Green and Carey early and getting in the tail, it's possible that's a crucial element of the game. And not concentrate on trying Khawaja, just go for the other end at the moment. Why Bryce Street not playing for Australia? He hasn't. Yeah, it's a good question though. Down the track, but he isn't quite there yet. Or that other guy, Henry Hunt. Look at this. They may be future players, but yeah, Marcus Harris must be in someone's good books. He must be a nephew or someone in the cricket board. I don't know, because I wouldn't have him anymore. He's played 14 tests or whatever, and hasn't looked like scoring a century. So if he's opening the batting, he's got to score centuries. Khawaja, back for what, his third, fourth test, he scored already 3 centuries, and one really that deserved to be a century. 3 centuries in a 97. Khawaja hasn't scored any century. Harris hasn't scored any centuries in 14 test matches, which is virtually 28 innings. No, you don't have an opener playing that long. I mean, some openers you might persist with, but I'm afraid Harris has now been. So Khawaja's just taken top stock of it, and off he's gone. Although they're compensated by giving Harris a role in the series, he won't be playing a match. He won't be opening, that's for sure. Do you think is Australia win the ODI series against Pakistan? Well, let's leave that to later this discussion here, Marshall. We're not even through the test match yet. Let's leave that to a later discussion. But I think it'll be well fought. Do you think whoever wins in the Pakistan Australian series will have a chance of making the World? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The winner of this World will be in with a great position in the World Test Championship. India will be a part of that threesome at the moment. South Africa, they're saying, but I don't think so. England, unlikely. New Zealand floating around, but they got beaten by South Africa quite poorly. So we would think not. I think it's between Australia, India, and potentially Pakistan. But yeah, we'll go a long way to being one of the finalists. I would say yes. Totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree. And the match is going to start in about 19 minutes' time, which we need to know. So those that are online, thank you for subscribing. I think we've hit 28,012 subscribers. We've also got 4.7 million virtually in viewers overall, viewers of the posts, with that 1 million mark hit for the post on Pat Cummins. A couple others have done very well as well, so I'm very, very proud of it. Confident Australia will beat Sri Lanka and Sri Lanka. At this stage, you would think so, but look, Sri Lanka are never easy at home, that's for sure. And it'll come down to our batting more than our bowling, but we'll see. The making of Swepson today will be very evident when he gets a chance to play. I'm pretty sure he'll be bowling at some stage today. If Sebastian's behind, if Australia score 500, well, then they're going to prove me wrong, aren't they? But someone like Khawaja has to still be there, and we'll wait and see how they go. Again, I'm concerned about the way Labuschagne acted when he got out, and I'm also concerned that Travis Head didn't bat, and why we needed a night watchman. 3 wickets down for 250, you need a night watchman. What are you protecting yourself from? if you're in command on that day, you would be chomping. I would be, if I was batting 5 down, 5 in the order, I'd be chomping at the bit to get out there and score runs and not be protected by a night watchman. A little bit bizarre, I think. Not so much negative, but not showing a lot of strength of character. I mean, why would you need to talk? Why would you need someone explain me why you need a night watchman when the score streak of 250? I don't know. Vikash Bishnoi. Personally, I want Australia to lose in the series so that even if India loses one match in the India versus Australia series, it doesn't make much difference. Everyone wants India versus Pakistan. Well, that's actually true. That would be some World Test Championship final. Not impossible to think that way. Norman Keep Calm Head will score a Labuschagne and will also score. It's not about being a calm head. I'm just being very critical of what I'm saying, and I'm being honest. Labuschagne's attitude should not. Someone should have a word in his ear and say, "Do not go and be publicly displaying your grief over a duck that didn't deserve that sort of." I mean, he didn't play a bad shot. He got run out. Head did not want to bat. That's why. That's disturbing. It's disturbing. You should be chomping at the bit to go there and bat. It doesn't know whether it's a few hours. They weren't bowling fast. It wasn't like it was treacherous batting conditions. You should have been there because if you were bat last night as opposed to Nathan Lyon, he'd be first cab off the rank this morning and could forge a big partnership with Khawaja. But no, he's not. He'll come in when Nathan Lyon gets out, let's say, and Pakistan will be, he would say, somewhat on top. Well, we'll be on top if they get an early wicket. Absolutely, be 4 down for 250. Much better situation they would have expected. Death pitch, Karachi. No, I don't think it's a death pitch. It's a pitch that Pakistan do very well on. Pakistan not a world-class team. India versus Australia more entertaining. Pakistan playing India will win. Well, that's a big call. I'll tell you. Congratulations on for 20,000. Thank you. I just don't think that you can say that India versus Pakistan, depending on where it's played, of course, and I don't think it should be played in India or, for that matter, Pakistan. They should be playing this World Test Championship final in New Zealand, because New Zealand won the World Test Championship. And my belief is if you win the championship, it goes to your home. Very fair. As it does with most championships in that manner. And if people didn't want to use England, they thought England was not good weather, etc., etc. Well, then they should have given that some more thought. I mean, it was the first round, first match at Lord's makes sense. It's the home of cricket. Of course, we should be playing there. But yeah, it's interesting, very interesting indeed. I'm wondering what the story will be, where they play it and how they judge that. I don't know. I don't think they're quite thought that through, to be honest, if I'm being really honest. Anyway, I missed those fast test match pitches of Pakistan. Well, I mean, I think Lahore will be a good one. This isn't bad. Will you be going to the Warren Memorial, Norman? Yes. Well, the good thing is it's in Sydney as well. Whenever March 30th, it'll be in Sydney and Melbourne, but I'd prefer to go Melbourne, where the true home of Shane Warne is, and I'd like to see the so-called SK Warne stand. I'm sure the sign will be nicely done, ready to go. It'd be very fitting to be there watching the stand be unveiled as the SK Warne stand. I'm only assuming they'll do it on the day of the memorial. It would be a great idea. Welcome, India, sir. I am from Delhi, Rajendra, near Delhi Green Park. How are you? In fact, India versus New Zealand, India are an absolute command there. Not New Zealand, Sri Lanka, I should say. India are well and truly in command there. India have got them 6 for 86, chasing 252. Unless Dick Weller can hold that end, his team will be all out for 130 if they're lucky. And India will be in a commanding position very, very quickly. That match will be over very, very soon. The draw, as I said to you, England got 311 and was 6 declared for 349 with both Crawley century and Root century. West Indies were 325 in the first innings. They actually had a lead of 64, and they were chasing some 280 or thereabouts, and they were 4 for 147 after being 4 for very few. Yeah. To me, poor effort on both sides, really, but West Indies held strong. England Should have been better than that. Yeah, 3 for 251 Australia after 90 overs, which is less than 3 and over, which is by no means a cracking rate. Yeah, Pakistan could have been a bit more aggressively. Let's hope they come out today and really attack the line end, and then all the batsmen come in and obviously see how they go. When are you coming to India? Yeah, I would love to be there now. It's all about my mother's situation. And the problem last year was COVID. I'm hoping to get there as soon as I possibly can. Normally, if Australia win the series in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, I think they can beat India, but it's not going to be easy for Australia. But I still think Australia only team that can beat India and India. We'll see how that pans out with Khawaja's emergence. Khawaja's a very important part of that team in India. I don't think it's any certain Australia can beat Pakistan at this stage. Sri Lanka, you would think so, but in India, Australia's going to work very hard to beat them there, and I still think India's got the dominance there, at least in the long format, short format. And we'll see. That's my thoughts on that one. Yeah, so Australian women's side, oh my God. Australia were 8 for 269 with a bit of a wobble. Ashley Gardner was 48 off 18 delivery. She had 4 fours and 4 sixes. Amazing performance. Both Perry and Talia McGrath got runs. Beth Minnie chipped in as well. They were 9 for 269, 8 for 269, but then New Zealand didn't last more than 30 overs, were all out for 128. So Australia basically smacked them. And let's just have a look at the table for that. I'm sure there's a table coming up here somewhere. Yeah, the full table at this stage. Australia now go to the top ones, 3 wins from 3 matches. India are there on second spot, along with South Africa, New Zealand, West Indies. England. So New Zealand had 2 wins and 2 losses, so they're not in a great shape. West Indies, if they win the next match, can go ahead. England, Bangladesh, and Pakistan have yet to have a win and look likely to be the 3 to miss out, with West Indies being the one that could get in still, depending on how they go. South Africa's done commendably, but against the 2 lower sides, Pakistan and Bangladesh, South Africa have not played Australia, New Zealand, or West Indies, so, or for that matter, England as well. They're in for some difficult matches now. They've had the 2 easiest matches, so they're 2-0 up, and they're going to be getting increasingly more difficult. South Africa, I don't see South Africa making it. I think Australia, New Zealand, India are the 3, and the 4th side could well be West Indies. And that game between the West Indies and South Africa will be a significant one. The Pakistan and Bangladesh are gone. And I'd say England are pretty close to gone as well. But we'll wait and see about England. They could still jump up, but at this point, not. Yeah, so there's a fair bit of cricket going on. Australia will need to play 3 spinners in Sri Lanka and India, I believe. I agree. I don't know why they didn't play Agar today, and I would not have had Travis Head in the side. I bet if India continues to build a pitch like Shinswami, Australia will have very few chances to win. I can't see Australia dominating at all in India. But let's see the making of our spinners. That's where, if Shrepson's got the goods, it's time to show it. Thank you, Crick, mate. You're a good colleague of mine. Deserve more rich to do. Same with you, same with your channel. Vikas Bishnoi, if India prepare turning tracks, toss plays a key role. Of course it does. This is the only saving grace for Australia so far is that they won the toss, or able to bat first. So if they can make hay today and get 450, 500, then they're in a great position to definitely not lose the match and potentially win it. And they can be very lucky and very thankful that Pakistan didn't bat first in the second test, because they certainly would have got runs. The Pune test showed win the toss and beat India in turning tracks. Yeah. Look, that's India's games are down the track. We're still going to play Sri Lanka and a few other series in between, and then obviously the World Cup's in there amongst that as well. Australia are having to deal with a test at the moment in Pakistan, which they're doing quite. They've done 3 for 251 is a commendable score, but it comes down to Khawaja being 127 not out. Steve Smith did get 70 odd, but again didn't get a century. Warner got 30 odd, got out to a very good ball from him. Indeed, look good. Norman's turning tracks. You don't need 400. You need 250. Correct. Let's just see how Australia start the first two sessions, and how Pakistan react to that and how they bowl, because this is the day of making of the whole series, actually. Australia all out for less than 350, or Australia 500 is where the match will be turning. If Australia get 450, 500 or thereabouts, they're in a great position. Even if Pakistan bat well, Australia are in a position that they probably won't lose. And of course, we'll see how Swepson bowls as well. But yeah, this first two sessions attack the line end, which will become the Travis Head end, the Cameron Green end, even the Carey end. They can get 3 or 4 wickets pretty quickly in the first session. Then Pakistan are in some sort of ascendancy. KL Rahul, and future captain, yeah, he certainly is. Indian batsmen also struggle against spin. You can't say current India. Yeah, they haven't looked that good against the spin. Yes, Sri Lanka shut them up a bit. They got out for 250. A rather well bowled by Sri Lanka, actually. I hope Lyon bowls better than this match. Well, he's going to have to, because he's going to have backing now with Swepson, so he's not going to be relied upon. And Cameron Green's going to definitely bowl more as well. And hence his performance, his team rate or his play rate should be up. Cameron Green's going to become Cameron Green and Lyon are very vital to this bowling and batting, more so with Green than with the batting side of it. Nathan Lyon, yeah, he's got a lot of motivation. He's only a couple of wickets off reaching the top 10, as Ashwin has already. Let's go through the top 10 bowlers. Just interesting stat. I like looking at that. Bowling records, here we go. Most wickets in a career. So Multan Restaurant, of course, had 800. Shane Warne, unfortunately, passed not long ago now. His private burial happening Well Beach today or next week. The private family-related burial, with his memorial happening on the 30th of March, which is a Wednesday night, under lights at the MCG. A lot of the stars, such as Ed Sheeran and even Mick Jagger, Elton John, and Chris Martin, who are all friends of his, may well be performing from overseas and be via satellite. We'll see. So Mutai Murling got 800. Warren second on 708. Jimmy Anderson, who has not been given a farewell yet, 640. Kumble, the highest ranked Indian bowler, is fourth on 619. Then McGrath on fifth, 563. Then Broad on sixth place, he and Anderson. Broad has 537 wickets. So between Anderson and Broad, they have 1,177 test wickets. Amazing. 8 is Courtney Walsh on 519. Sorry, not 8. He's actually 7. Is Courtney Walsh on 519. Dane Stain is on 439. Ashwin is 9th on 436. And he is Kumble's 4th on 619. And with Ashwin on 436, we're talking about 183 wickets between Kumble and Ashwin. Doable. Today's Mohammad Siraj's birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Mohammad Siraj. Unfortunately, he's not playing. How do you see his bowling? He's a very good bowler. He's done very well for India for some time now. Could easily have been close to being selected, as is Umesh Yadav. Do you think anyone will beat Warner Murali's record? Not in our lifetime, no, I don't think so. I think Queensland, Matt Kuhneman and Swepson, future spin twins for Australian Test cricket. We'll wait and see. Let's get Swepson started. I think India will win today. I think they could well row it forward before they could easily win today. Sri Lanka goes from 20 or 30 and 40, and then if they go back in the bat, if they can force the ball on, they'll be out of luck. So no, you're right. I totally agree. So again, 1 Murali, 2 Warne, 3 Anderson, 4 Kumble, 5 McGrath, 6 Broad, Walsh, Courtney Walsh 7, Stain 8, Ashwin 9, 10 Couple Dev, so he's dropped below Ashwin now. 11 Ranga Herat, Hadley with 431 is 12, Pollock with 421 is 13, Harbhajan Singh is 14th with a 417. Then comes the 15th position, Nathan Lyon. He's on 416. So if he gets 5 wickets, he just goes past Pollock and Singh and can move himself into 13th spot. It's pretty commendable on Nathan Lyon's part, let's be honest. Then Mitchell Stark's waiting on 274 and Jadeja's on 241 with Mohammad Shami on 214. We're all in the matches today. Do you think Ashwin can reach close to Kumble's record? He's got 183 wickets to get. If he gets to play 4 or 5 years, yes, but he's going to need 4 or 5 years to go, and he may be too old. He's nearly 36, correct? So, it's right. Ashwin's saying he'll get 600. I reckon he'll go very close to 600. And if he does go close to 600, well, that means he's very close to Kumble. It all depends how much Ashwin plays Test. He should have played in the series against England. All 5 Test matches he didn't play, which could have been 15 wickets to him. Ghost is Warren's farm. Ghost in Warren's, as in Shane Warne's farmhouse. What is that issue? Oh, come on, let's not get down that track. I find it a bit weird. It should be, if there's going to be a ghost, should be probably in Thailand, inside that Koh Samui place. That's where he passed. You generally have ghosts which relate to where you pass, not where you don't get transported 9 hours by plane. Your ghost comes with you. It's something that usually haunts the place where you do die. I'm not an extraterrestrial ghost expert, but that's what I led to believe. Vikas Bishnoi, I don't see Ashwin overtaking Kumble at age 36. I don't see him playing for another 4 years. I think 1 or 2 years left in him. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, but he's already in the top 10 anyway. He's ranked 9th. He could easily forge his way to be. 436 to 563, which is 127 wickets, is a big ask. But I can see him making. He's only got 3 more to knock off Steyn, and then he'll be going into the 500s. Let's say Ashwin will go very close to being ranked as high as he can. Whether he's got the age and opportunity to actually go past Kumble is another thing. He's only played 86 Test matches, whereas Kumble played 132. And that's what some 46 tests. Will Kumble play 46 tests in 4 years? Likely, possibly. But he won't play it in 2 years. Yeah, you're right. Time's going to be against him, but we just don't know yet. See how his fitness goes and his form goes as well. It is start time, you're right. And how much will Australia score today? Real predictions, I'm saying if they bat poorly, less than 350. If they bat well and Khawaja gets double century, 450. Do you see Bumrah becoming Test Indian bowler and Test the best? I think so. If he keeps fit, no doubt. Now let's look at this match that's starting now.
Enough yesterday, particularly to Khawaja late in the day. I think they earned it.
So Khawaja's out there now. About to face the first ball, I believe. Incredible how white the centre wicket is, some 12 wickets. Khawaja has faced 267 deliveries for 127 lines there. There's been 1 delivery from Hassan Ali and a second delivery. Yes, to me, Hassan Ali was a bit below par. Fahim bowled well. Shaheen bowled well. Norman was steady. Sajid wasn't at his best. Time to face the music. Correct. Incredible square. This looks like they've thrown sand onto the middle of that wicket. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, up some 13 wickets. I just counted them. Ball is not carrying. Hassan Ali's bowling. I guess it's his first over of the morning. And day 2, session 1, as they're calling. And that ball the wicket, the Fahim delivery that got Warner was an absolute peach of delivery. It basically held its line, and Warner knew exactly what was going on. That was a very good delivery. Very good delivery indeed. It was a beautifully bowled. Australian score prediction. Okay. Khawaja gets the double century. They get 450. If he gets out with the rest of them quickly, they'll be at less than 350. So that's my prediction. I'm erring more towards 450, but let's see. Australia need to get 450. And Labuschagne's run out there, he's shown with Sadi Khan a magnificent throw, which wasn't the end of the world for Labuschagne. He didn't bat badly, he just got run out. Norman Australia will score 450. Well, they should. From 3 for 2, they should. And it will come down to how well Khawaja goes. It's going to be all around Khawaja, I reckon. Even though he's already 127, the importance of his batting continues on from this point. It's not Smith was caught beautifully by Fahim off Hassan Ali. He was over the top of the ball, but that was a very, very good catch that just missed Steve Smith. He did definitely as the ball, and it was very good reflex catch, magnificent catch actually. Fahim's catch was a very difficult catch. It actually went fast and it dropped. Every ball that Hassan Ali's bowling is not reaching the keeper on the full. Interesting. All the deliveries so far are basically bounce ball. Here we are. We're seeing Labuschagne again. Let's hope he's not going to show any sign of disappointment from yesterday. The lower order need to score runs as well. They do. Well, but they've got batsmen. Travis is a batsman. How to take permanent place in the 11? Learn from Khawaja. Absolutely. Khawaja's been absolutely dominant from a position of the subcontinent with 97 and now 127. Onwards and upwards for Khawaja. They're going to rely heavily on him through the subcontinent and learn from his batting too. He's got rid of his sweep shot, which was his failure in the first innings. Look at him, 127 not out. Very impressive indeed. Nathan Lyon's facing. His first ball of the day, he's facing on Shaheen. This will be a test. Shaheen should be mouth-watering on the amount. And Lyons just hit the ball straight through point. What looks like could well be 4, at least it'll be 2. And Sajid Khan stopped it. Got a good arm on him, Sajid Khan. Nathan Lyon looks like he's going to have some fun. And no one can say that Nathan Lyon can't bat. But I don't think they needed him to come in. Travis Head should have been happy to be out there for that 1 over or so, to come out and bat this morning and take charge, but he's opted to hide himself. Not exactly sure why Shaheen's going around the wicket to line. I'd like to see him bowl a conventional outside off some from a normal line of delivery. Fahim's catch was absolutely magnificent. Lyon should throw the bat around. I think you're right. Michael is better captain than Aaron Finch. No, Aaron Finch is a very good captain. I show brother love you all, brother. Thank you. Thank you too. Thanks, Don, for a lovely conversation. I'll see you on the next stream. Bye. See you, Vikash Bishwan. The less we see of Labuschagne, the better, I'm afraid. Cameron Green looks like he's padded up. Lyon seems to be freeing himself up and playing as naturally as he possibly can. What an atmosphere. What a huge ground. The outfield's mega huge. Bad to see Labuschagne run out. Well, not the end of the world. Norman, what happened to Curtis Harrison? He got a century the last time he batted. He was injured, substantially injured. He's nothing wrong. He's back captaining New South Wales. Right in the fray like Khawaja is. Could easily be selected in the future. Crying butter. Hi. I want my butter. Curtis Patterson's still there, Debashers. Don't worry. He's not gone anywhere. He's still there. Australia with 3 for 253. lying on to Khawaja at 127. Very impressive. So we reached 28,000 subscribers, as well as a very large number there for so women there. Matt Mitchell-Webson's talk to the press. Mitchell-Webson's talk to the press, apparently, but it was only a host broadcaster permission right holders use, and it's just audio of Mitchell-Webson. Imam al-Haq must be chomping the bit wanting to get out there. What do I think about the ongoing Women's World Cup? A lot. I think it's great. It's funny today. I looked, turned on Foxtel, which is our equivalent of cable, and I saw both rugby league, women's playing, and then women's and cricket. Incredible. 2023 World Cup. Yeah, well, interesting. Why Khawaja was not playing against it in 2020? No idea. I would have thought that looks close. That looks very close. And the LBW just showing line. Hassan Ali. 2021, I don't know. He should have been there all along. Norman, can Tim David play for Australia? Plays national cricket for Singapore. I believe he can. I don't know whether that's what's happening, but I believe he can. Just because he's born in Singapore means he does qualify for Singapore, but they're going upstairs for this review of that LBW decision his line. He looked in front, but it could be enough to let it go to Alex Siley. Let's have a look here. Beautifully positioned, did come back into the bat. It's a little bit high. My thoughts are that it may just miss the leg stump. And it's a little bit high, so there's no bat there, so it's clearly no bat. It's gone straight through to the pad. And looking at the pad position, it's virtually at the top of the pad roll, above the pad roll, the knee roll that is, heading upwards. I think it's probably going to miss the stumps. Well, hang on, in line. No, umpire's call just snuck the top of the bail. So umpire's call means there's no decision. So the review won't be lost. Women's World Cup final predictions. Which two teams are likely, according to you? Well, prime, but you'd have to think Australia is one of them. Certainly India are up there as well. And so are New Zealand, even though New Zealand was beaten by Australia. Those three certainly, and potentially either the West Indies or South Africa are in that top 4-5. I would have thought England earlier on, but England have lost their games so far and looking very much out. Who do you think the Canberras would go to this point? They've got a pretty good side, but it's still a mismatch of players. Canberra Bulldogs will do a lot better. They'll probably be mid-table. Yeah, that's my thoughts. South Africa is in a strong position for the World Test Championship final. For men's, yeah, surprisingly so. They've done very well, but they haven't. Let's see how they play against Australia and probably England, and they're playing New Zealand, or they play New Zealand. They're going to play a couple of top sides to prove their worth. You support the Canberra Bulldogs. Well, I'm a South Sydney Rabbitohs fan, as you know, Paul. We beat you in 2014, remember, at the grand final. So, yeah, very happily. We made last year's grand final, but this year I think South will make the top 2, top 4, probably be pushing it as well. They should get the top 8, but they won't go much further. Long-suffering Bulldogs, well, yeah, there you go. They bought a whole array of players, some very, very good players, but they just don't seem to have the halves combination quite yet. We'll see how they go. Cronulla did a nice old job on them in the trial match, and Cronulla looked really good, actually. That's where the Cronulla won yesterday. Well, I think they played yesterday. So far, so good for Australia. They've faced some almost 3 overs with only 3 runs added. Hassan Ali had a decision go against him. Yeah, Hassan Ali's balls are tailing in quite considerably, aren't they? All right, guys. Any other questions? I'm here to answer questions at 3 for 254. The last ball, the 93rd over. Line on 3 of 17 balls. And Khawaja yet to move on from 127 after 272 delivery. So Nathan Lyon's had a lot of the strikes so far. Well, Nathan Lyon's played a cut shot and got away with it. Off an inside edge, has gone past the keeper and it's gone for 4. So that's 4 runs to his name. Catch you later, Paul. Let's see, over the scores 3 for 258 after 93 overs. Lions 7 and Khawaja on 127. A dirty big inside edge there from Lions. Not necessarily a quality shot, but got the result that he would like. Pitch is good, but Sri Lanka batsman is not able to play Indian bowlers. That's true. And the twilight killed them. They lost wickets galore last night. I was a bit shocked that they only were 6 down the way they were heading. They were heading out the door. They've only got really Nimrosh and Dickwell that left the keeper, who is a good batter. The rest of his bowlers, they should be all out very quickly. Hence, they could well be thrown back in by India and will be all out under the 250 total, I'm afraid. We could see the match finished in 2 days. Very, very disappointing. Sri Lanka's just given them no contest at all. Good for India's World Test Championship points, but Sri Lanka's a bit. How did they were leading it at one stage. I don't know what happened there. They're going to fall away quite quickly. It's going to be between Australia, India, and Pakistan. South Africa is a smoky, but they're going to continue to play well against some much better sides. This is a great catch for Fahim in the second set. Very good. Khawaja's hit a beautiful ball through the wicket on the ground all the way, careering to the boundary. He's 131 now. Khawaja takes hold of this match. You know, he could get a double 100 and score a big score. That's the key. Australia should really not be losing many more wickets if they want to match what Pakistan will do. Pakistan were 4 for 476. Australia were 3 for 250. So they're going to not lose only one more wicket and get 200 runs and then declare. That would be a sign of defiance. With Khawaja on the score like 200 plus. Khawaja's in complete control. Hi, I'm Asad Mirza from Pakistan, Australia, England, India. Series. Okay. India-Pakistan World Test Championship final will be fantastic. I'd love to see it. Ooh. Full toss. Big comfy chairs on. Interesting, Steve Smith hasn't got a bat in his hand. He's got a ball in his hand this time, so flexes his muscles to bowl, I'd say. Australia 3 for 263. Into the 94th over, Lions 7, Khawaja at 132. Khawaja get a double century. 2 centuries, a 97 and a double century. Pretty good form to be kept in the side for an indefinite period. Harris is not going to open again unless there's an injury. Shaheen's got a very good physique, very tall, lanky, smooth run up. Nathan Lyons just whipped him away, the gross of these. Actually, Nathan Lyon may fancy himself to be the next Dizzy Gillespie with his batting. if Rahane was in place of either in the all at 150, you're right. At 92, kept them together. You're right. Very, very true. It was a good move that they finally let Rahane and Pujara go, I think. Tell them to go back and find form, and they're going to find a lot of form because Shreyas is staying. And it's threatening for the number 4 position in the team, actually. So in terms of this position, guys, we might let's give it a couple more overs, see how Khawaja and line go. So far, no wicket. It's been 4 overs. They've scored another 13 runs. Yeah. So the India-Sri Lanka game doesn't start for some time. It's still a fair few hours away. And yeah, Sri Lanka should, unless Naresh Dickwalla can get his act together, will fall very early, I think. Lots of kids at the cricket. It's always great to see. I love seeing kids at cricket. It's just, they look at their idols. I want to be out there. One or two, one day we'll go through and be a part of that. Good ball from Masali. It came in and left Hurlitt's line, and line played a shot and didn't get anywhere near the bat. He was a bit shocked. Pitch is already showing some scuff marks. It's certainly going to be a spinner's pitch in the next day or so. And it'll be up to Australia to get a lot of runs and make Pakistan bat long and start getting exposed to the conditions and see how Swepson goes. Nathan Lyon's doing a good job holding up his end. Okay, a couple more overs, guys. Any more questions you want to ask? Go right ahead. We've had Mosen Sheikh on earlier, who was in between a match between Turnbull and Brisbane Valleys in Brisbane, a final, so to speak. I know there's a final at the moment going in Victoria between Melbourne and Carlton, which two of my girls, Rebecca Van Dorn, who was the keeper for Sri Lanka, and Nipuni Hunseeker are playing him as well. I'm pretty happy. Now waiting for 1st of July England versus India test. That'll be interesting. It's a one-off. So between the Sri Lankan test match, which is happening today, is the next match row at 140 is going to be the 1st of July. It's quite a gap, isn't it? There isn't much cricket between there and then. Obviously, there's the IPL happening. We mustn't forget. Which is end of March, April, May. So yeah, it would be probably into June, July when they play the next match against England. The match carried over from a good year ago. Steve Smith watching his replay of his neck and shaking his head. Look, he got out. I mean, it was a good ball and a great and an even better catch. Hassan Ali certainly is tailing into the batsman. And Lyon's handling himself very nicely. He's got himself a handful of runs. Yeah, Hassan Ali's bowling quite a pronounced ball coming tailing in, and the ball got out one straight, and it was just an incredibly difficult catch, and for him did very, very well. It's more the good catch rather than good bowling. And Steve Smith, unfortunately, fell to a very good catch. It's never easy. I can't believe that middle. It looks like we're at a beach there. So white. So there's some 13 pitches there in the middle. Khawaja taking his time, 132 not out. He would love to get a double century. I'm pretty sure it would really be an emphatic result for him to get a double century after scoring 2 centuries a 97, and what could well be a double century. Brilliant. Hassan Ali's overs finished, 5 overs gone, 14 runs added this morning at 3 for 265. Lyon not at 9, and Khawaja not at 132. Hassan has taken 1 wicket off 15 overs with 36 runs taken off him. When Finch and Wade available for IPL, I'm assuming they're staying on for the in games here in Pakistan, so they'll be available within the first week, I think, more than likely. All right, guys, if there's no more questions, send me more questions. Don't forget to go with Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kostek. Hit the view, like, and share the post. Subscribe, notification button at Norm Koch. There is the Instagram and Twitter handle, as well as my Norman Kostek, which is a part of Facebook and LinkedIn. So any other questions, guys, before I head off? Because we've gone a fair whack of time. Australia are now 3 for 265. They haven't lost a wicket. They've played 5 overs. Looking like it's going to be a long haul today. Nathan Lyon's been given a short ball, and he's just taken care of it with a great deal of ease. He's moved to 13, looking very comfortable. Again, he's mentally free. He's got no inhibitions about his batting. A very loose delivery machine. It was just easily just flicked to the leg side. Uppishly, but there was no one there, so safe as houses. He just helped it on its way. Pretty regulation shot, actually. Played quite well. I will see you in the next live. See you at row at 140. All right, guys, we might end this. Any more questions? There's no more questions. I'll see you later tonight, post the session. Be interesting to see what the score is with that. So Nathan Lyon played another beautiful pull shot, but this time now he actually played it in front of the man there at square leg. Well played, actually. It was in the air for a fair while, but for him, is not a miracle worker. Lyon's raced on to 15 now. The score 271 for 3. That was a very short ball, and it was Nathan Lyon had plenty of room, plenty bigger gap to play it into, but for him did a fantastic job to get that ball before it reached the boundary. It was a very good job, actually. It was a very safe shot, actually. There was no one in front of the wicket there. It was a square leg, but just there, there's a direct square leg, and there was a big gap in the mid-wicket reason. They're actually putting a person there now. They're dropping a person back to roughly where that ball just went. So they're going to be throwing a few more short balls, I'd say, trying to buy his wicket. And there's a man directly where that ball went now. And they are, yes, and they continue to bowl short balls. And they're appealing for what could be a leg side catch. And no one's reacting. But there's no one reacting, so it doesn't look like they're not going to be putting up sets. It's obviously no edge. The replay will show a very clear daylight between bat and ball. Yeah, no one near it. There was no apparent movement to the ball, so no. Any more questions, guys, before I go? No more questions. Again, another ball. Nathan Lyon's got onto that beautifully. In fact, it's going to go all the way to the boundary. Although it's been stopped very well. Nathan Lyon's having a field day. He's not scared to hit the ball at all there. All right, guys. We'll talk again this afternoon. We had a good discussion. We'll talk after post-game. Also talk about the India-Sri Lankan game, which could well be over by then as well. And about the Women's World Cup. All the best.